but I hear one sentence. All is good as long as my son's not gay.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
really?
So it's...
And they say that to you? I am very curious on how that, as a child, psychologically impacted you, as you said, carries over to the adulthood. And then does it have that much impact as an adult as well? Or is it something that clears out by itself?
Like, why are they questioning that? I mean, I'm just talking to another human being. Okay, so they happen to be Caucasian, or African American or whatever,
Hey guys, welcome to Soul in the Game podcast. This is me, Soumya, your host. Today I'm honored and thrilled to have a very special guest with me. His name is Manu Srivastava. He's a celebrity here in Arizona and also very well known figure in the Indian classical music industry. Manu Srivastava has a huge following on social media for his not just music journey but also for bodybuilding. He's a natural leader, a driven individual who embodies hard work and dedication with honest and deliberate efforts. While his flamboyancy and direct get-to-the-business approach may astonish some of us, at a deeper level, he is kind and generous. I am honored to welcome Manu Srivastava to Soul in the Game. You grew up here. You are a Chief Revenue Officer at White Fox Defense. Mm-hmm. You're also hobby, which include your bodybuilding, which is very obvious for us. And you also painstakingly teach students the beautiful art of Indian classical music. Yep. And I'm being one of your painful students. I want to know how you're balancing it all, like with challenging professional things that goes on behind the background, which we don't get to see. And obviously bodybuilding we can see and experience the learning from you.
So, this question has been asked many times, and honestly, there's no good answer. And the reason why there's no good answer is majority of us humans, we tend to choose one activity and make it our forte. But because music has been a big part of me since childhood, I was not going to give that up. Then as an Indian, we're expected to be engineer or doctor and, the kit and caboodle, as we say. I did my engineering, went through the whole corporate ladder, climbing the ladder, et cetera, and chose that, I need a professional career besides music. I cannot depend on music, but I want to put just as much time in music as I put in my career.
Right.
So I think the motto is whatever you do, do it with 100% passion, whether it's career, music, teaching, bodybuilding, cooking. So everything that I pick, either I will do to the best of my ability or I won't choose it. So I've chosen a few activities and I make it a disciplined life out of those. And really that discipline keeps me going. And I continue to thrive on new challenges. And I think it's till I retire, whenever that is, this is going to be a fun journey.
Yeah. You said you grew up in India, being Indian, and so you didn't grow up in US.
I grew up in Canada.
Right. Okay. North America.
You
grew up in Canada. And then how Indian do you consider yourself? As in you learning classical music, right? I grew up learning as well, but I don't feel that deep connection, I guess, or commitment to. So is that one way you connect to India, through music, and how that has helped?
We moved to Canada at a time when very few Indians, even lived in Canada. Now you talk about Canada, all you can think is India, right? The whole India has moved to Canada, it seems like. But when we moved there were very few families. there was a small temple, the Hindu temple, where every Sunday we would meet. And from there, my parents made friendships. And we just kind of clustered around that life because they were afraid that the culture would be lost if, we ventured out into the Western society thinking very limited friends, So it was more like talking Hindi at home, or you should know Hindi and you should learn to write and read. Music was a big push, especially from my mother. And she could see that I was talented, every parent knows. So she pushed it not only for the sake of keeping the culture, but she actually believed that I could be something in it. So it did help, of course, because I would go to India, live with my Guruji in the summertime, learning a Guru Shishya Parampara, which is unheard of these days. So growing up in that environment, as well as in the Western environment, was confusing. It was, there were times when I was like, why do we live here if the expectation is to be Indian? Why not live in India? And I think as parents, we don't realize the dilemma that kids go through is we want them to be as Indian as possible, but we want them to be very successful. And being successful incorporates the standard conveyor belt system of get an education the day you get your degree. Where's the girl? Get married right away, have a kid, and, the conveyor belt system. And that's what we have been exposed to for so many years that you can call it brainwashing system or conveyor belt system, or just the way our society and culture is you follow those things and that's about it.
Yeah, it's a model that people have gone through, and then it's a proven method.
Exactly. It is.
Get to a financially good state where you can, parents don't have to worry about, whether you can fend for yourself or not. Yes, financially it works.
Yes.
Now, coming to psychological, I heard you say confusion, right? Growing up in here and then trying to do everything like being in India.
Yes.
I am very curious on how that, as a child, psychologically impacted you, as you said, carries over to the adulthood. And then does it have that much impact as an adult as well? Or is it something that clears out by itself?
No, it never clears out, because you have to understand your childhood is your base of existence. The way you are in your adulthood is developed when you're a kid, when you're a child, with parents having full control, pretty much full control financially. As a child, you completely depend on them, and you're afraid that they won't love you because you don't agree with them. You're going against their will or against their thinking. So you never refute it. I was not allowed to talk in a higher voice at all. Whether I agreed or disagreed, it didn't matter. So I kept a lot of things inside. Whereas my kid today, he just blurts out whatever he wants to, and there's no consequences of it, because, and in a way, I kind of like that, because as a human, we should be able to exercise that right and be open and talk about what we're feeling, what we're thinking. We don't come from that background. Is it a good thing or a bad thing? That's, we can debate all day long, but it did impact me very deeply, where many things happen in my life, where the word blame comes in. And, I think I'm at a level where I found peace, and I don't like to use that word blame anymore. Everything happened for a reason. They had their reasons. I had my reasons. Things happened. Where I am was meant to be. So, but I would definitely say the way you are raised, in the environment you're raised, with liberty or not, it makes an impact on a child's development.
Yeah. I'm also more curious about, you mentioned how you had to listen, like not even have any financial freedom, or like today when we both have kids, and then we have our sons who who are very vocal in this environment. And I do see that in India, people are changing. I've noticed they're very vocal as well. However, it comes with a lot of confusion, right? As an adult, if you're vocal, you're still confused versus when you're a child, you have that confusion, but your parents are, you know, learning, helping you to learn. So as a childhood, I would love to know more, if you're okay and open, to talk about what type of impact, with some example maybe, or what is an impact that carried over, and how music, pushing into doing music the best, or was it your personality? Because many people go through that too, but maybe not everyone gets psychologically impacted as strongly as maybe on you, because maybe because you're a driven person, you take everything seriously. Maybe do you think that would be an impact, or no?
As a child, you don't take anything seriously. Let's be very honest. You're forced to do everything, whether it's studies, practice, chores, even waking up on time, you know? So I don't think there was any drive inside of me that made me come to an understanding that I must do it.
Yeah.
The fact that I was accustomed to a very conservative environment where, you know, how should I put it in a nice way? We're talking to non-Indians was frowned upon. Okay. Yeah. Why are you talking to her, or why are you talking to him, or what do they want? You know, those kind of questions came up many, many times throughout and I still remember them, because it does leave an imprint on you that, what's wrong with it? Like, why are they questioning that? I mean, I'm just talking to another human being. Okay. So they happen to be Caucasian, you know, or African American, or whatever, you know, it's non-Indian. So those kind of things made me feel like I was doing something wrong. So I completely pulled myself and shoved everything under the carpet.
Okay.
The only outlet I had was music. So, you know, when you have an outlet, you feel like it's your best friend, and you love it, you care for it, and you become part of it. And so music became part of me. Whether it was meant to be, I don't know. But because of the environment I was in, I kind of had no choice. I found a friend, and I made best friends out of it. And, you know, it became more of a part of me, part of my life. Every bad thing that I've gone through in my life, music never stopped. It's always been there. And actually it thrived more, because I think when your emotions come out, the pain comes out, you really start understanding who you are and incorporating that into the way you express your music.
Yeah. You're like the best in the top tier of music industry, right?
So, okay.
So all the work that you have put in the childhood and the suppression that you had to go through, and then channel that to learn put into music. Good to see that you channeled into something, you know, useful, right? Today, I know you've gone through it. It's hard, and I want to get into another topic. Good segue, where this is impacting your students, right? Like your teaching methodology, the way you correct the students, or the way you give them inputs, or that you're very much known for your temperament, for example, outside. You know that too.
Yes, I do.
So, and how people perceive it, right? So it's what you call it, almost inherited, and then you're living a legacy in a way that you don't really want to. That's not that exactly you went through the painful process. The kids probably have to also see that side of you. Maybe that's not the real you, but it's that you which gone through in the childhood.
I believe in my younger days, you know, I started teaching when I was 14 years old. And I would teach from literally 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. at age 13, 14. I remember one of our friends from Baton Rouge came, and she specifically came to meet me. And, you know, I was very close to her, older than me. But we got along really well. And, you know, she was like a young person stuck in an old body and wanted to just party, right? So she came, and literally the whole weekend I was teaching. And this is when I was, 16, 17, or maybe a little bit older. And she just looked at me and she's like, you are so young, yet you do what, you know, maybe much older people than you would not do. And, you know, those words hit me at that time, but they didn't really hit me because I have never been questioned. Nobody has said, this is not how teenagers act or react. Nobody said that this is not the norm, Manu. You know, for me, it was my parents were like, oh, good. He's in good thing. He's staying away from trouble and this and this and this. Not realizing that the other aspect of living the childhood is completely missing. You know, it's either music, study, music, study, music, study. So fine, I developed this discipline for sure. And if you hear, you know, Olympians and other celebrities who are in sports and music and everything, they kind of went through the same thing. It's nothing new. But from my perspective, I think this should be talked about, that it's not healthy. It's not healthy. There should be expectations. There should be goals, but not at the cost of something that is so crucial to the development of a human being. And I was lucky in a way because I was able to make something out of it. I know a lot of people who would be in my situation would go nuts. And probably when their wings open after college and freedom comes, not been a very good situation.
Yeah.
So I could have taken this completely and went the opposite way.
Yeah, that's very possible. Where you are today with your partner, husband, Adam, and going through your journey with your previous marriage, how would you describe all these that we just talked about, impacting that as a journey into being yourself, expressing yourself, and, you know, embracing yourself? Because even without having any clue about who you are, to taking this type of almost 180-degree turn and doing all this, like, after so many years. Yeah, help us.
Yeah, so like I said, my lifestyle, my life was a conveyor belt. You know, Tarna and I met when I was 22 or 23, and she was 3 years younger than me. So we were very young. To me, the whole side of sexuality it was never talked about. It just never was discussed or any. You know, like it just never even came to my head that something like this could be. You know, we follow the suit, as we call it, the conveyor belt system. We both got degrees, and she went to medical school. You know, I got a job, and we decided to get engaged. And that was after a few years. It wasn't like right away. We're dating. Then we got married after a few years. So I think I was 28 or 29, which is considerably late for Indians, right? So, you know, they're all like wondering, but I just feel that I had zero chance to understand who I am because these things were just never discussed. I didn't have close friends that would question me or even talk to me about anything that is non-music related. Every time I would be in a social setting, it was always about, how's your music? How's your music? And music. And there was this sour note in my head, like, why do we always just talk about music? Anywhere I go, sing this, right? So that's all I knew. And that's the frustrating part, because maybe if I had known, things would have been different. But if things would have been different, then today would be different. So it's like, what is right, what is wrong, I don't know. But I do feel that the lack of communication that we always had in our family, like you just could not talk that freely. Because if you went against the thinking of, you know, my parents, you're wrong. Simple. Because Gita mein ye likha hai. You know, these kind of things would come up, and
can you give a rundown, compressed version of your day, maybe, for example?
It was just get up, do your music, go to school, and come back, do more music, eat, homework, maybe listen to music, go to sleep. That's it.
So Gita, when you say
on Sundays we used to have Gita class. My dad is I would say he's a very learned man. Like he knows a lot about the Upanishads and Vedas and so on. But to be able to use that in today's world, I think that's where
I think I have a mixed opinion about that, because I think it's, people, theoretical knowledge versus practical knowledge, right?
Exactly.
We are given a book to follow. I know this can be controversial, but I think it's important because all of us are given a book. Okay, read this and then apply that, versus understand yourself and then use that as a once in a while supplemental, right? But that's not the whole formula, because we also have our own personality.
Yep.
But yeah, sorry, that was, I think in today's world it's changing, as I say. Maybe
there are many things that are usable, that are useful, but I think those subjects were only brought when I was going against the thinking, and I think that always brought negativity into the conversation. Instead of me understanding the goods of it, it was just always used to justify the thinking overall, and I had no choice to just be quiet. So the lack of expressing my feelings, the lack of communication, I would just stuff everything in a box. And then one day it'd be like this volcano that would just burst of anger. And I didn't even understand why I'm so angry. A lot of my friends say, gosh, you used to be so angry. Like everything was anger. Even my parents said, you were such an angry kid. Tarna, angry person. My son feared me because I would get angry not knowing why I'm angry. So now that I've gone through this journey of understanding who I am, what gives me peace, what calms me, and what makes me feel like a free soul, let's put it that way. That anger is diminishing by itself. It's even in my teaching, the way I used to be to what I am today, I think this is a 180 complete. I mean, I had zero patience before. It had to be done, it had to be done. And I was always like, if I'm working so hard, why can't you do it? And that frustration inside would spill into my students. And, when I have realized what did occur, it did bring amazing students. I'm not going to lie. Okay. So some of the students that have come out in that environment are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm lax, I do get good students, but it takes much longer because I'm lax. Yeah. And humans are lazy. So, you take your good old time until you're pressed to the wall again. And it's like, okay, Visharad is coming. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about the journey. I have a few things to ask you there. I think you talked about a few things I'm curious about. First is the journey that you went through. You said until you went through that journey, you didn't know who you were.
Correct.
Can you elaborate more on that journey part?
Again, my growth as a man has been very masculine. The feminine side that would come into play is the music side. I was in dance when I was a little kid, so there were instances of feminine qualities that were incorporated into a very masculine quality. Even though I'm out and I'm very proud of it, it's very difficult for me to see myself in that environment. It's very hard for me to accept that I could be that. I'm getting better.
How did you even realize first? Because you have to go through internal journey, right?
Yes. So it's very recent, actually. I didn't even know anything. 2016 is the year when, you know, I had a manager who was basically arranging all my concerts, this and this and this and this. And because music was so important to me, and I was on the rise like crazy at that time, where literally every festival I was singing at and performing at, and, you know, Manu this, Phoenix Gharana, Phoenix Gharana. This is a very golden time for Phoenix Gharana for sure, before COVID hit. So at that time, I developed feelings, and I developed feelings not understanding what they are. You know, like, it was a little scary at times, like, what the heck is going on? Because he's a guy, you know, and it didn't make any sense. You know, and this thing came out. And then, you know, Taruna and I, we said, oh, it's probably just a phase, like a curiosity phase that many go through, many don't talk about it. And we just let it go for 3 years. And then when COVID hit, I was stuck at home. No job was going on. The world was shut down. And music, another part of music came out. I started realizing how, I hate to say it, but self-centered people are. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm like,
you realized you were self-centered when
I think we all are.
Okay, how self-centered people
Everyone
are. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Everyone, you know, like, there are times when I want to do something knowing the repercussions of it, but because it benefits me, I still want to do it. Or the other person is being so insanely cautious. Like, you don't have your life in your hands. Tomorrow you could be just walking across the street and, you know, get hit by a car. But we are so protective that, you know, locking yourself in a house or a door, but going to our work as a dentist is okay. You know, so like these kind of things was, COVID brought out real personalities of people. And to me, it was just, what am I doing? Who am I? What am I? Is this what, you know, I know I've been doing music for so long, but is this what I was brought to the world for? So it wasn't just retrospecting about music. It was just looking internally and saying, why am I so angry?
Wow. So you started self-reflecting, internal journey during that time.
And, you know, and at that time, online talking was the only thing. So, you know, you just talk to random people on Instagram and Facebook and whatever else. And you start developing things. And you know what, the day you start accepting that, no, this is your truth. That anger, that pressure internally starts to go away. And I can't tell you how good that feels. Although there was the other side as, how am I going to tell everybody now?
So that's the period you realized.
I realized that.
Okay. Yeah.
And there's a lot of debate going on even in today's world, is sexuality in the olden days, and I'm talking about the ancient times, it was fluid. Mohan, Mohini, you know, like, it was very fluid. There was, yes, they were given roles as male and female, but you have Shikhandi, and I can go on and on and on. It was all there.
Yes.
It was all there. What were the norms and not the norms? And, you know, we can sit here and debate all day long about it. But I feel after the British came, because it became against the law and punishable, it really became a taboo. And that taboo really affected our society, the Indian society. And even though they have left, that taboo is ingrained in us. That, you know, if you are that way, life is over. And I want to sit here and say, no. Life only begins after that. But the hard part is to face society, to face parents, to face family. In my case, face my wife, you know, that, and my child, that this is my reality. But I'm a firm believer that if you can't live your authentic self, especially knowing who you are, you're just living a dead life. there's no point in living. So it was either I leave Earth or I live who I am.
Yeah. And you said 2016 your journey started, or realization started.
Yes.
And it sounds like you had a good conversation, and of course you both were supporting each other.
Yes.
Taruna and you, to have that conversation and put it on the table. So you talk through it. Then
it was hard.
It was, yeah.
It was very, very difficult because I didn't even know what I'm doing. Like I didn't know how to explain this.
Navigating.
How am I getting that? Yeah. And then for her, it was confusing too. It's like, you've been with me for, at that time, 15 years?
Yeah.
How? Like what?
Yeah.
Like what changed? So how do you answer to people like, you never knew? Like you just never knew? I'm like, no, I did not know.
Yeah.
And they just don't understand that when you are so secluded, you don't think.
Yeah.
And when we say cults,
Yes.
it's the same mentality. You're just so close-minded about everything. All you can think is that, and that's it. But as soon as you start realizing, or there's a leak because of some instance, and you start opening up the layers and layers of stuff that you've just kind of hidden, and you're like, why am I doing this?
So it all came together during COVID.
Yes.
And you met Adam during the same time? Okay. And then you I know we know where you are now today, but that untangling, I'm visualizing a super tangled ball with all the knots and then you're like slowly sitting and untangling them, right? And there is all this psychological impact which you just explained, which sounds very traumatic as well.
It was.
Thinking about the child, like if I put my son in that position, I feel very traumatic for him, right? And then now to untangle and feel that pressure-less feeling.
I think the fact that my family was not with me or showed any kind of support made me stronger. I remember being, I was in Dubai.
Okay.
My friends had just found out that, I had come out and I was in a very bad state and I had to go for business to Dubai. And they were like, don't go. You're not in the right state. And I said, well, I have to go. So I went there and they were I have the best friends. They were so amazing. They would call me day and night. Are you okay? Just to make sure that I wouldn't do anything rough. And they were right, because I remember standing at the hotel balcony saying to myself, jump.
Oh my God.
And yes, and this is the trauma that I have gone through that I've never showed anybody. And a week later we had music class. So
I know.
So it's like all kinds of things were going on at that time where my friends were the biggest supporter, where I wouldn't even get one call from my siblings, my parents, nothing. And it's a sad thing, but I think it made me much stronger. And more understanding that you come alone and you go alone. So believe in yourself.
Yeah.
So it was a very traumatic time, but I'm really thankful to my friends. And you guys will hear this, so
yes.
So I just want you
happy,
to know,
smiling.
thank you. Because of them, I really was able to navigate it. They made me feel loved and supported, and so. And I hope, if parents are listening to this and they're going through this with their child, that we say even Ravan's mom, the one person that was so evil, his mom loved him to the end. So how can parents just let go of their kids because they don't agree with their thinking? And it's not even thinking. This is not something... And it's been proven that it's not a psychological thing. It's not. And, no matter how much we talk, it's a disease. This is a disease of the mind. And you can control your mind any way and form you want. This is what I've been hearing for so many years. And I'm like, you don't understand. Can I ask you to be gay? You're straight. Can I say change your mind and be gay? You can't do it. And I don't expect you to do it. So why are you expecting me to change my mentality so it can benefit you?
Right.
So all of those traumatic conversations, lack of support, made me believe, you know what? It's okay. Life is more than this. Life is your journey. And you need to set that journey. And how you finish that journey is up to you. And what kind of goals you want to achieve up to that journey is up to you. So I have set some things in my mind that I will do before I go. And one of them is to promote that, you know, it's okay to be you. It doesn't matter if you're Indian or whatever. It's okay to be you. Shun those people that don't care. Those people were never in your life in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay? If they can't support you now in your worst times, they're not worth it. So these kind of things really, this whole scenario really made me understand what is important to me. And I think I'm a much happier, more confident person. And I think all my successes to now that I have achieved is because of my satisfaction with myself, internal self.
Yeah. I can feel the, you know, the joy when you're saying that. Because I've seen you before during COVID 2019.
Gosh.
And that Manu to today's Manu that we know. And especially being your student, we have witnessed the different side of you. How does it impact your family? You mentioned, so I'm assuming you're not in touch with your parents. Is that right? Or
we haven't spoken for over 2 years. My siblings and I, we've, you know, and it's hard for my siblings because they're kind of sandwiched in between the parents and me. You know, my parents are older now and they have to take care of them. And, you know, so they're kind of trying to please them as well as please me. And we have two different views. So they're stuck, but they do their best to, you know, communicate with me and communicate with them and try to make them understand. But at this age, and I know how stubborn our thinking can be, that it's very difficult to change that.
When I think of parents, I think like how you came out with not just accepting the who you are, but understanding what caused where you were before, right? Let's call it conditioning, like how you were conditioned to think. So now put that just to bring a perspective for the parents. Now we can think how our parents are conditioned and they are unable to realize or unable to come out of that thought process, that they are conditioned. It's when you realize that your condition is when you actually just let it go.
Yes.
Right? Maybe they're not able to realize that. And
I don't understand if it's conditioning or not being able to come out of it, or the fact that they don't want to deal with society, because my dad has always been big on, we come from a very good family and we're very educated, and you know the phrase in our culture, log kya kahenge. I mean, I've said that so many times. I think it's ingrained in us, and we fear what others think about us. And that goes back to even my music. When I started music at Phoenix Gharana in 2006, the backlash on the name I got from India, how could it be a Gharana? Like, what are your 7 purvaj, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? This is just a name. Calm down. It's just a name. Look at the work we're doing here to promote something that is dying in India because a few have such a good grasp on it and will not distribute it. Okay. So if we are able to change the course in another country, let it be Phoenix Gharana or Dimka Gharana for all I care. Right. So I literally had to become very strong and stand on my ground on this name. We made videos actually on this and talked about why we call it Phoenix Gharana. And it's a phenomenon that we created here, that, you know, we are able to bring out students who are at the level of performing in India and wow the crowd, you know. So from that to having a haircut that may not be acceptable for, you know, classical musicians, tail laga ke and comb your hair, that kind of stuff. I was like, I'm not going to do that, right? So I went through all of that. And that made me stronger again too. So like all of these things that I've gone through made me much stronger in who I am, what I believe in. I'm going to stick to it.
Right.
Okay. So, good and bad.
I think you're showing the world that questioning yourself is important.
Yes.
Because when you question yourself, you're addressing the conditioning that has gone into it. And we never question, we accept the conditioning forever until we die. That becomes an legacy as well.
Yes.
So I think you're demonstrating that, whether it's good or bad, that's up to the perceiver. If you ask me, I would say it's all good, because of course I don't have any direct impact from it, but I can see that psychologically the stress, you're less stressed, and because you're less stressed, you're more happy. Even in your teaching, it is very obvious. And when we are learning from you, it's more of a joyful experience now. Maybe before it was more of a fearful experience.
Correct. I agree with that.
Right? So
yes. I mean, even in my style of teaching now, there's more love and more acceptance that, hey, we're all humans. It's going to take time. Before it was more like, gosh, why can't you just get it? Like, what is so hard about this? You know, those kind of things would be in my mind, which completely is gone now. But there are other things that still bother me, which again reflect on my music. Is, for example, we'd be in a setting of Indian parents. And, you know, we're all okay now. We're all like, okay, so he's part of the LGBTQ, so what? You know, who cares? Like, it's gone to that level. We've gone to many parties. Everyone's okay. But I hear one sentence. All is good as long as my son's not gay.
oh my gosh,
Yes.
really?
So it's...
And they say that to you?
Well, it's not directly to me. It's more of a conversation. And then they realize, oh my
Wow.
God, what they have said, right? That thinking is there. That thinking is still there, that as long as it's not my family or anything to do with me, I'm okay. Do whatever you want. But, you know, this is why our society is at a standstill in thinking. It takes so long for us to get out of the stigma and what we have created as taboos, that generations go by and nothing changes. You know, so at least my friends who are Indians, who were born and raised here, they have a very different perspective. It's the people from India that have moved here, they're still stuck there. It's really hard for majority of them. I'm not going to say all of them, because there's some open-minded people also. And I hate to use the word open-minded, because people think open-minded means Western. It's not. Okay, just go to Khajuraho. I don't think anything's more open-minded than that temple over there that I saw. So these kind of things still bother me. That even though they see I've come out, I have not been shunned by society. I didn't lose my job. Yes, my job knows, and they're very proud of it. I have a great family structure. I'm best friends with my ex-wife. We're raising our child, and he's thriving, because we all understand who we are now and how we can help each other without becoming a cage for everyone. Right? So seeing all these good things, there's still this fear that it's not good enough.
I think it reflects how those caged thinking you said, or that conditioned brain, like, you know, you put a print on something and you press it, the harder you press it stays longer, right? So I feel that's the brain, like it's so pressed, and we never question that, going back to questioning again, to self-questioning. So we may accept, okay, you now, but putting that comment for your son, maybe it's still, that print is there. That's reflection of, like, the print is there. So let's question ourselves. How are we thinking? It comes out whether I am best friends with you or not, but it comes out in my words, in the way I'm expressing.
Because when you say those things subconsciously is the right word, that really shows what you really feel about that
Right.
subject.
Yeah.
Whether you agree or not and you feel bad for the other person is not the question here. It's how you perceive that topic. And if you're going to say that everything's great as long as it's not me or my son or my daughter or whatever, it shows that you're still at the closed-minded level.
Right.
You're not accepting things.
Yeah.
India just went through a very big fight for equal rights, right? And unfortunately, it wasn't passed for whatever reason. Nor did we expect it to be passed. Let's be very honest.
Yeah.
Why? We're that close-minded that will take generations and generations and generations while the whole world will change. Saudi Arabia is changing. It's allowing things that you couldn't even think of before. But as a democracy, the largest democracy, we can't see, what kind of benefits this would bring. Oh, it's going to just ruin the society. It's the Western society. Western society, have you seen Bollywood? Stop that first. I think that's more Western society than anything else. But you enjoy that to the extreme level. But things that really matter and affect people's lives on a daily basis is not important to you. And those are the people that are coming here, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I hear these kind of statements out of them, it really bothers me. Can I change them? No. But what I want to do is keep being a role model to their kids. Yeah. Because I know the next generations that are come about, they'll be very different. Right. And at least show them that, hey, we can all have a very good life and very successful life.
Yeah. And you're already leading the way, being, having kids, students who look up, not just in a music way because of what discipline you bring, right? Mm-hmm. That discipline is the side effect of that is where you are in your career or music, but pushing that through as ideas and then as expectations, because that helps the kids to put that perspective, because maybe the parents are not covering that side of the psychology.
Yeah, so I'm a good mix of the East and West, let's put it that way. But even with my college students, they have their class lasts on Saturdays. After the class is done, we sit there for half an hour just talking about life and what they're experiencing, what they're going through, And it's funny because I remember when I started doing that originally, nobody would say anything. But now it's become more of a discussion, a topic. So we really look forward to that half an hour of yap. Because they want to know my perspective, and they find it very fascinating that I was able to do what I was able to do.
Yeah.
In this world, we have many that are living in the closet, that contact me, that are married, have kids, and they're not happy. They're not happy. They're just living for the sake of living.
What would your message be for them? Like, not everybody may have the courage, as in braveness, to face the world and do it, right? Like, if they have to take incremental steps, slowly, because, yeah.
I mean, many of them are in their mid-30s to mid-50s. So we're kind of already late. I don't know how much slower we can go about this.
Right.
I think it's going to take the whole society, the Indian society or the Indian circle in those areas, whether it's the Bay Area or Phoenix area or New York. Bay and New York probably more open now. I know a lot of South Asian gay associations, LGBTQ, associations that have sprung and are attended by not only kids but their parents and everything else. We're still behind here.
In Arizona, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm the only one that's openly, and I know there are a hell of a lot more of us out here in the Indian community.
Right.
Obviously, if they decide to come out, they decide to come out. If they don't, then they don't. But my message would be to unhappiness shows. No matter how much you try to hide it, when everybody sees you, they sense it. And add a little bit alcohol to that, a lot of things come out. So, truth has a way of coming out.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. And one day, one way, something or another is going to happen. So either be ready for that or plan now on how you will accept the truth.
Yeah. And I think it's more than that. Of course, all of it combined, the best way is to feel the joy. Like you're happy. Internally, you're happy, right? Or
you're not happy unless you accept it.
Right.
And it's not an
you're
easy...
saying it's even harder to accept. It's
People think, oh, I'm gay. Yay, I'm out and proud. No. I mean, who in their right mind wants to be gay and face everything that I've faced already? Like, I'm not like trying to sit here and say, hey, please beat me up. You know, like that's what people think, that it's so easy just to come out. Forget the coming out. To sit there for hours and hours and hours and cry and be like, why me? Like, what did I do to deserve this? Why can't I change myself? Why can't I go to my old life? My old life is better. My old life is better. My old life is better. It took me a year of that, you know, and I have a very supportive partner, you know. He just sat there and listened to it and said, he'll figure it out. Whereas other people were like, look, you're not ready for this. We can't be together, you know. So I've been very lucky in every way and form, and most people are not lucky that way. So, but just to sit there and accept that you are.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really hard. It's like it shatters the mirror in front of you and everything you've known about you.
I think it starts with that feeling, right? Like it's all the noise, and then where's the signal? It's buried inside all the noise. So once you connect to that signal is when the journey starts. Maybe people are not even connected to that signal.
They're too afraid.
Too afraid.
They're way too afraid. I've talked to many where the first thing they ask is, how did you face your parents?
Wow.
I mean, that fear is so ingrained in us. Why are we so scared of our parents? It's like, I don't want to disappoint them. I think you've disappointed them more than once. And you will continue to disappoint them because guess what? You are different from them. And anything you think that's different from them is going to disappoint them.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not. And this thing continues for generations.
Yeah.
Right? If my son doesn't agree with me, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
It is disappointing. No matter how modern I am and this, it doesn't matter. It is disappointing. So there's got to be a point in your life where you have to stop and be like, we say that our parents used to go to, what's it called? Mutt or Tirth Yatra as soon as they...
You know,
after
like, marriage,
after marriage,
right,
once you got married, you had your own life. And
Kashi Yatra. In South, they say Kashi Yatra because they go north.
What happened to all that? Up to like, they're continuously involved in your life, you know, till you literally say, look, this is my family now and this is my life now and let me do what I need to do. I'm old enough. So, you know, on one side we have that, on the other side we have so much control and so much fear of, I don't want to disappoint my parents.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like that's the first thing that comes out of everybody. I know females, I know males. First thing is, how did you face your parents?
Yeah.
And I don't know what to say to them. I'm like, this is a question I continuously get asked. And I'm like, how do you face yourself? How do you look in the mirror every day and be like, I'm okay with this? I can't do it.
Yeah,
I can't do it. That's my answer.
So for people going through this, would be first step is the acceptance, right? And
it's the most important.
Yeah. And it's not just with, I think, sexuality. It's also with other things. Like, for example, I can give my own personal example. I had a lot of to work with shame. Like shame was the biggest barrier in my life. I didn't know even like shame is a thing that's causing me obstructions. The moment I realized, my next question was, how do I work on this?
Correct.
How do I work on that it doesn't impact my decision making, doesn't impact whatever I do?
Right.
To even, I have been thinking of like asking to do this podcast for some time. And I think shame was stopping me from even asking, okay, I know it's a good idea, but
I don't know how to proceed. you know?
Yeah, it's like I feel shameful. Like, am I good enough to do this?
Correct.
Am I qualified to do this? I'm like, I think after realizing that, working through that, or I didn't even have to work through consciously. It just naturally happened.
It does.
Naturally.
The natural flow does happen.
Yes.
The day you accept things, it's like doors open.
Yeah.
Until you accept it, the doors are closed. And no matter where you go, you feel trapped.
Yeah.
Whether it's anger, alcohol, anything, you know, it's not just sexuality. You're correct. Even practice. Do you know how many times you have said this excuse, and I'm just thinking she won't accept. She just won't accept.
Yeah.
The day you accept and say, okay, fine, yes, that's the day you start changing.
Right.
And I feel that most people are not able to do that.
Yeah.
Pride comes in the way.
Pride and
Fear. Pride and fear.
It's very complex, and
is.
our own preconceived notions about ourselves.
Correct.
Like, we think we are something, but then we don't want to accept that I have a lot of shame inside. I don't want to project that. But once I know, I'm able to even talk to anybody about it. Like, I'm openly like, you know, I have shame. How do I work on that? You know, but I have worked it automatically. It's going away now. I don't have to do anything. And I was like, I'll ask you. Most you will say, no, that's okay. It won't hurt me. And then you are so kind and generous.
This is a good thing. I hope that, you know, talking about this not only helps others, it also helps me, because I usually talk to myself.
Right.
And when I'm talking to myself, it's like so many different ideas that I'm just not able to make a novel out of it that makes sense. Yeah. I know the bits and pieces. I know why and how and when, and people agree or don't agree. You know, like all kinds of stuff comes. But when I'm talking to you in a flow, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, like I see it.
Yes.
I see it more clearly than than before.
You need that mental clarity, I think. All right, now I want to segue into our Phoenix Gharana.
Yes.
Which is, I'm also part of from 2019. And it's been a wonderful journey. I know it's frustrating for you to teach adults especially. But I think we have, for example, I can speak for myself. Having that broken journey of music, it kind of starts haunting you. Like, you need to learn better. Like, I didn't put quality, or maybe I had enough good guidance. So I need to understand why I didn't continue, right? Now, as I'm learning from you, it's becoming more, Phoenix Gharana feels more closer, like every week, and structure, master classes and workshops, and the family, the two big events you host in care halls, which is really, really amazing. Bring so many talents together. Yes. I think, and you handle it all by yourself, majority of it. So it's a big event with a lot of people. So I want to know how it all started, Phoenix Gharana.
So when I moved to the Valley in 2002, I was not sure if I'm going to be living in Phoenix, because it was a job change, and out of the blue, my company said, tomorrow we want you to go to Phoenix. Like, literally tomorrow we want you to go to Phoenix and see.
Where were you?
In Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
That's where I went to college and all that. And, you know, I'm like, Phoenix, like, who lives there? So you know, I flew over, and I remember it was December 16th, 2002. And I looked down from the airplane, and it's clear skies and everywhere lights. And I'm like, oh, I really like this place. I get out of the airplane. It was like, I remember snowing in Cincinnati. And I get out of the plane, and it's like amazing weather. And I'm like, okay, I'm not leaving. This is it. Phoenix is it, right?
It wasn't summer, right?
No, it was Christmas time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And I'm like, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
But again, you don't know where you're going to be. Sure. I was so young at that time.
Yeah.
And once I moved here, I started to look into, you know, what is here in terms of culture. And, you know, I remember going to the Hindu temple on Hayton and met my first friend there. Jigger, if you're listening. So from there, like, the social thing started. I made a lot of friends through him, et cetera, et cetera. But the music aspect still wasn't there. I don't know how. I think one person talked to me one time and I learned that I sing. And then from there, it kind of grew.
Organic.
It was organic, yeah. And I started to see that there's a lot of interest, but there's nothing in terms of teaching and a school. So I said, okay, fine. I can do that some hours and weekends and this and that. Fortunately or unfortunately, it grew to a level where it was out of my control. I was teaching literally every day after work for 4 hours, Saturdays from 8 to 6, Sundays from 8 to 6.
Where were you teaching then?
Queen Creek.
Oh my gosh. Way south. Yeah. Who was there?
All the Indians.
Queen Creek. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where I had my first house when I moved here. Queen Creek is around now. Okay. But I actually traveled all the way to Glendale from Queen Creek on Thursdays, I remember. And then Tuesdays to Desert Ridge.
Okay. To teach.
To teach.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know. This fire has always been in me to promote classical music because I had promised my Guruji when he was dying, he died in my hands, that I would take his legacy and make sure it lives on forever.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So those kind of things were still in me. And when I make a promise to somebody, I will do everything to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, I took that message and I said, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I drove to Scottsdale, Glendale, Desert Ridge. I did that for many years, actually, until I got very, very tired. And it affected my marriage life because and Tarna was in residency at that time. So either she was out or I was out. And
you didn't have your kid then?
We didn't have Milan at that time. We were so busy.
Right.
It was so busy that we never had a chance to think about anything.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, nothing.
Right.
Even us, we didn't have a chance to think about us.
Yeah.
But Phoenix Gharana came from that. It grew to a very large school. We had at a point over 200 students.
Wow.
And, it was getting too much. But I was able to do very large gurukuls for 7 days straight, where students just thrived. I mean, you've listened to our older students, you see what they sound like. It's because of those platforms that I was able to create. And, social media helped get the word out to the world of what's going on here and, how big it has become. And then I started to realize that, students need a goal. If they don't have a goal, they're not going to work towards perfecting the art form.
Yeah.
So I decided to do Pandit Kashinath Buddhist Festival in 2013. That was our first year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
That was the first year.
That was the first year. So we're on our
almost
13th one we'll go now. Nice. So 2013 we started, and then I think 3 years later we started the Darpan Festival. So we had two, one in the earlier
March, right?
And then September, October. And then we had many, many concerts throughout the year. Bad visiting artists, workshops, this, that.
So did you already have that structure in mind, or was it also organic
it was all
creation?
organic.
Okay.
All organic. The only thing I did have in mind is the way I was taught. I was taught not for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I was taught for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create that and show that it works. Yeah. And that's why we have the master class right now.
Right.
Gurukuls are more intense. They're longer, many days. But that was, I think, very helpful in creating the students that I did create. Unfortunately, with my schedule now, that Gurukuls look very difficult to do. Right. But at least we do something that is kind of in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
But, that was the start of it. We brought in AAA plus artists, you name it. Everyone's been here from Shubhada Tai to Padma Tai to Sanjeeva Bhankar to, I mean, all the brand names that we hear, they've been to Phoenix Gharana. They've done workshops. Ashwini Bhide, she did a workshop. So we're talking very well-known celebrities in the Indian classical musical world. And they've all enjoyed coming here and giving their knowledge because the students were able to capture the knowledge. Yeah. It wasn't like the teacher is just singing and everyone's just looking at her, like, what is she singing? So it was a very good experience from 2013 all the way to 2020.
Yeah, COVID.
That's 7 years, I would say, were golden years of Phoenix Gharana.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit and it's like everything crumbled, including what I was going through myself, my personal life, and then Phoenix Gharana as an institution. And I think the crumbling started to happen because of my own inability to keep myself sane. And so we're today, we're back to, I would say, a very good level of students. It's taken some time, obviously a few years now, and I'm basically starting from scratch because they're all beginners. So the journey continues.
So I want to touch base on the 2020 part.
Yes.
I think it's both important and also I think there's so many things to untangle there.
Yeah.
I know personally few people who were your students before or parents as well. And that experience, what they didn't know what was going on, obviously, in your personal journey. What they experienced, I feel they have still today, they've carried that experience, a bitterness,
yes,
to simplify it. And it's become resentment towards, I hope it's not towards music, but mostly towards, the name or the person. So, and I'm thinking, is there a way we can heal it? It's not for the society, for our own self. And
it's never too late. We can sit here and justify why things happened. The fact is that things happened. There are many wrongs that may have been done from my part. There are many wrongs that were done from their part.
Yeah.
So we can sit here and argue about that, and I think we may agree to disagree.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What I do believe is the bottom line is I started Phoenix Gharana for the sake of music, and that's it. Not for my personal gain, not for personal fame. I mean, who in their right mind wants to sit there from 8 to 6 o'clock and teach and teach and teach and teach while all your friends are having a good time? So I did it for the sake of promoting music. And if anybody believes otherwise, I'm sorry. This is very personal to me, and I stick to those morals. And I had promised my Guruji at age 16 on his deathbed that I would take his legacy and move it to the next generation. And that's all I am doing. At every cost, it's cost me a lot. Okay, it's cost me my entire 20s to be where I am with the school. Now, COVID was a time of chaos. I think we as humans just did not know how to act and react to the situation that was going on. If you really think about things that were going on, it makes no sense. The way we were behaving, and myself included. I'm not putting myself out of this. I think it was just a very chaotic time. The resentment occurs because the other person does not feel like the opposite person doesn't really understand their situation. That's why resentment occurs, okay? Yeah. It's like there's no communication that is bridging the misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It's differences of opinion.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? You may agree to my style. You may not agree to my style. It is up to you and your decision to either go with my style or not to go with my style.
Yeah.
But to go behind my back, do things without my knowledge, and then come out and say, well, we had no other choice, is wrong. Okay. That's like saying, I'm in a relationship, but because it's not going right, I'm just going to go behind my partner and find another relationship and then come back and tell him. Yeah. You know, that's intentional. And I think those kind of things could have been avoided, which brought a lot of negativity. I didn't mind that students stopped. I believe everything happens for a good reason. Yeah. Okay? Because there may be another path for them to get to the next level of whatever they're trying to achieve or they're going to achieve. Yeah. You know, even right now, I have certain students that have finished Visharad and have stopped. And I was happy about that, actually. I was like, you know what? I've gone to many different teachers with the respect that I have asked them that, hey, I want to move on to different gharanas or different styles. Is it okay? But I've always asked for permission. I've never gone behind and said, I'm just going to do it. And I think those protocols should be followed, and they're mandated by our music system. Yeah. And it's very hurtful when you have worked 15 or plus years with students, and then in one instant, it's just taken away from you. It's very painful. So that pain from my side, only I understand. Their pain of me not understanding their situation, only they understand. What all I can say is things have changed. Yeah. Let bygones be bygones, and let's move on. If we can work together, great. If we can't, I respect that too. Yeah. You know, I would love to see them at concerts. Yeah. I think it's a handshake that, okay, we may not agree with things, but we're supporting the cause of music. Music, yeah. Right? We do all the shows for free. We've never charged any money from anybody. It's the students that are paying for it, you know, whether people agree it's a huge amount or whatever, you know, but we are getting the payment from students who are supporting these things. So if you're not part of the school, we've never asked for even a penny, come enjoy the show. I would love to see everybody there. And maybe in time we can have a conversation and discussion where we can hash things out. And get to a point where, you know, we can be amicable with each other. Yes. Because I feel there could be some assumptions as well. Which of course. We've never really talked. Yeah. It's been texts. That's how we talked, was text messages. And you know, my pain only I can understand and I can only discuss. Their pain only they can understand and only they can discuss. And if there's no discussion or communication, there's nothing. It's just assumptions. So I want to bring up, like, even I had a conflict with you. I don't know if you remember, but it was during COVID time. And you said, if you're not coming in person, then don't bother. I did say that. Yes. And I still believe in that. Yes. At that time, I mentally wasn't ready yet because of all the confusion going on. And we have our mother-in-law with us. So I texted you saying, okay, this is a situation. I don't feel comfortable. But I'm okay to give it a couple months. And then if you're still open, would come back in June. And you said no first. And I think I wrote a super long message explaining the situation. And it was like, okay, I'm not just going to let it go like this, because I also believe in those principles of basic human values. We have to follow them, no matter music or outside, right? Before you go on, I have to stop you. Sorry, go. Yeah. Do you know how many times I got that message during that time? Everyone. So think about that. Yeah. You're one person. I'm one person receiving the same message 200 messages so many times, and you gulp one time, you gulp two times, and then anger happens. And then you're like, what am I doing and why am I doing it? Yeah. So that's what people don't understand is you sent your message because of your own situation. Right. But I am having to hear and looking at these messages over and over and over independently with all kinds of circumstances. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Why does nobody think that it's a lot, right? But I had to put myself together. Even though I was going through so much, I had to put myself through together and say, look, I said this to myself. I remember this. I am ruining everything I worked for. Yeah. I said it to myself. And then I put myself together and I said, you work so hard, at least save what is there. That was the day I accepted. I accepted that it's never going to be the same again. Okay? Because for me, it was very painful. Very painful. I had literally devoted my entire life up to that point to music. I had sacrificed every normal thing that nobody would do. So it was extremely painful for me. And then to see these texts and messages and emails over and over and over again, as a human being, either anger is going to come out or you just become numb. And that's what happened to me. And I understand that, you had your own situation, and obviously we made some kind of compromise because you're here. It was up to me to accept that, it is a situation. Now, how do I handle it? Without, Tarun always says, you're not very good with adversities. And I'm like, I realized that today I wasn't. I'm still weaker. But I have learned not to react instantly. Because I'll tell you, when I read those messages, the fire that built in my body, it was going to consume everything in my way.
Wow.
So
was it fear that was driving? Was it like insecurity that everything gonna fall apart? What was it that driving that?
Definitely that may have been one of the things. But the more anger that came out was, I've lost my entire younghood.
Oh, the other side that you were going through.
Yeah, my entire young adulthood, whatever you want to call it, my marriage time, where people have fun. They're traveling, doing this and that. And, I didn't do any of it.
Yeah.
And to get to this point, and now it's all crumbling.
Right.
It's all crumbling. So why did I waste so many years of my life doing this? So that anger, frustration, everything, whatever you want to call it, was mumbled in this cloud of gray. And somehow or another, I had to just jump out of it and say, it's okay, Manu.
Yeah.
Let's tackle this and see how you can save it. And in that moment, we started having classes in person, if you remember.
Yes.
With masks on, with air filters everywhere. And the funny part was, I think nobody got COVID, or even if they got COVID, nobody knew, or, because it was a good year and a half that we did this. And then it was like, okay, we're sick of this. Take the mask off. Everyone's vaccinated now. And more people got COVID after that than during the course that we were doing. But anyways, it was a learning experience for me, again, that don't take anything for granted. Yeah, you worked hard. So what?
Yeah.
It can crumble any day.
Yeah. And you've restarted it. I think I
have restarted it, but I don't think I shouldn't be saying it.
We feel it. We still feel it. Right?
I have started it, but I'm not fully there yet.
Yeah.
I'm not there. I still feel, or I fear that if I invest too much again, I don't want to be set up for a failure. I'd rather put my effort into my work, Milland, I'm preparing him to be a musician. I mean, he's amazing. He sings really well for his age. So, those kind of changes in attitudes and goals have taken place. Yes, I want amazing students. Of course I do. I will do as much as I can, but it's not what it used to
prioritize
be.
yourself.
It definitely, the priorities have definitely changed.
Yeah. Because it is going through all that, it is very traumatic, and especially when you've given all those years and coming to that realization is, of course, it's going to change the person to act differently. So
Yeah, and I don't have hatred for anybody.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have any resentments anymore. What makes me angry is I just couldn't tackle it in a way that maybe everything would have been fine. I think I'm more angry at myself.
Yourself. Okay. I see.
Than the people. It's not that I'm angry at, first of all, I have no resentments left anymore. I don't have anger for anybody. Even when I see those people, I used to get angry. I honestly did. But now I realize it's not angry towards them. It's anger towards me that I wasn't able to collectively find a solution to keeping everything together. You know, I was just going through so much at that time, and I'm not giving this as an excuse. It's just now I'm realizing that I could have done a lot better job of dealing with the situation at that time if I could just have pulled myself out of it. Yeah. So hopefully, like it's a good learning experience for me that in the future, if big adversities such as COVID come, I'm like, okay, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, we just move on.
Yeah. I hope they are listening and they see your message.
I hope so too. Yeah. I hope so too, because I miss you guys. And I hope to see you guys at future concerts or whatever, because I think we had a great friendship, not just as music students and all that. You know, there were, some of them have been there since day one.
Yeah. And they're very high quality musicians.
Yes, of course.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
So hopefully they understand my side at least, and I'm always open to dialogue.
Now I want to jump into the other content side, or your passion hobby side, that is.
Oh God.
Yeah. Workout.
Yes.
Which is very obvious, and you're always marketing that, and it's not easy, right? It's extremely hard work. Another that tests your everything inside you, and the discipline we have to maintain with the food, the timing to work out, timing to eat, and every single thing we need to pay attention to. So having such a high pressure or high responsibility, I would say, and I don't know if it's a pressure also, high responsibility job and high standard with the commitment towards the music journey, how do you balance with workout? Like you have to follow extremely disciplined lifestyle to come to where you are with building muscles. Why are you laughing?
I was just thinking, what really got me into this?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because typically Indians don't. Let's be honest. We're called skinny fat people. And it's a phenomenon known for Indians.
We do yoga.
But we still have bellies. That's the problem.
Okay. No body shaming though.
Yeah, there's no body shaming, but it's a fact. It is a fact that majority of Indians, men especially, are skinny, but they have a belly, and there's a reason behind it. It has everything to do with diet, the type of diet that we take. We're very high on carbohydrates, and protein is very low. And there's a lot of talk about this in India these days. The diet aspect of Indian food and how to balance it so you get both, good proportion of both.
It's number one in diabetes now, I think.
Right?
Yeah,
diabetes and heart diseases.
Heart disease too. Yeah.
So bodybuilding. So I was a fat kid growing up. And
I cannot believe that.
I was a fat kid. I was a fat kid. I loved food, and I still love food. And I don't know, with Indians, it's like if parents think if your kids are, healthy, that's what they call it, right? Healthy. That it's good. Yeah. But in school, you're bullied that you're a fat kid, right? So that body shaming I received throughout my Canadian years. As soon as I got into high school, I saw every guy being bigger than me and more muscular than me. And I'm like, why do I look the way I do? So even then I had that shame that you had, that I'm not good enough. I just can't do it, and if I do it, I won't make it. So in college, I remember my friend Buddy Myers, and we're still friends to today. He lives in LA, and we both co-opted in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And this guy was psychotic about diet and working out. Okay, so, after a month of watching him, like, hey, can you help me? I want to do this too.
Oh, wow. So he was your friend, and then...
He is I would say my guru.
Guru, oh, okay. Workout guru, okay.
Yeah, he's my workout guru. He's the one who pushed me into this. And then, we started going to the same gym. He started to train me. Oh, you should be doing this.
In LA or Ohio?
Baton Rouge.
Oh, okay.
Louisiana.
When were you in Louisiana?
1999 to 2001.
Studying. High school?
Co-op.
Oh, co-op.
Yeah.
What's a co-op?
So Cincinnati has a program where you do 1 semester of schooling and then 1 semester of practical.
Okay.
So as a chemical engineer, it's usually oil and gas or chemicals. So I was at ExxonMobil.
Okay.
And Buddy happened to get the same job. So we both were sharing as roommates. And he really guided me through the whole process. And I think I became more psychotic than him.
Oh, wow. So he's still bodybuilding? Or
Don't quote me on this. I see his photos, so I don't think so. I'm not saying he's fat or anything like that. He's just not a person that keeps building and building and building. So he may be, I'm not sure. And honestly, I've never asked him, are you still doing it? He's busy in his life. But that... nasha is the right word.
Yeah.
But once you start seeing change in your body, you don't want to ever let it go.
It's like sculpting yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're like, God, I can look like this. It's amazing. And believe it or not, up to COVID, it was all good. And I just looked at a COVID photo. 208 or 9 pounds. And I couldn't recognize myself.
We couldn't tell outside from outside. But
that's the funny part.
Yeah.
It's like unless you look at things and reflect on those things and you're like, wow, I was a mess. And then I, put photos of me now.
I think I've seen that on Facebook.
Even on Facebook or Instagram. Like it's like, wow. So that fire to keep in shape is definitely very high. The other thing, that really makes me angry is hearing that Indian men are not attractive.
Oh, okay. Who says that?
Social media.
Okay.
There are many surveys that have been taken. They'll talk about women. And India is probably the top 3 usually.
Right.
But with men, it's always like, and it's true. Like even in our marriage system, like ladki gori honi chahiye, but ladka kala bhi hua, it doesn't matter, right? Like because there's no expectation of a man to be a certain way. As long as they have a big old mustache, it's a man, right? So, it started to bother me a lot, and. When Bollywood, when they say, oh, Salman Khan, just take your shirt off. It's very easy to say. But to keep that body the way he did for so many years, you have no idea what it takes to do that, right? And whether you hated him or liked him or didn't matter, you were attracted to him. You wanted your body to look just like that, right? So I think India is changing in that respect, that where younger generation is getting more and more into health, bodybuilding, physical external looks are becoming more important. But I think we're still way behind.
Yeah. I mean, the priorities are different. They think of conveyor belt idea that we talked about in the beginning. And to this bodybuilding the difference is north and south, right?
It is, but it's so funny. I just went to Vegas for my 45th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And there were 22 of us.
Okay.
Other than myself and maybe one other person, nobody wanted to take their shirt off in a pool. India, maybe you go and you see in the pool or even at the beach, like fully clothed people go inside the water, right? Is it the fact that that's the culture, or is it that they feel insecure about their bodies? I think it's both.
Both, yeah, I agree.
It is definitely both.
It's both.
Because if you looked good in the mirror, you'll be like, I'm going to go like this.
Yes.
And people who do look good, they do go there.
Yes.
So that insecurity is there, but you don't want to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it just boggles my mind. It's like, I'm dying of blah, 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 but I don't want to do anything about it. You know, so those kind of things really bug me.
Yeah.
And I refuse to be in that category.
Yeah, it's typical, I think, laziness mindset. It's not to shame anyone of that, but
It's
I
not
think
a priority.
Yeah, even I have gone through that. Like I have to do yoga, for example. I love doing yoga, but I have gone through phases. I've been so lazy.
Yeah.
Internally, I know I love it. I love when I'm pushing myself to do a particular pose, but to get to that is the mental work you need to push yourself. But bodybuilding is a whole another. You have to feed your muscles.
It's
and
a lot of discipline.
Food that you take.
Food, control, no sugar, don't eat carbs after this, you know. And then when you get to a level, you're like, I'm not happy enough. I need this. And it's just never ending.
So do you feel like you want to keep growing? Like, is there a barrier?
I don't think I want to grow bigger, but I want to maintain. And with age, it becomes exponentially harder because your hormones change, your body compositions change, you know, your sleep patterns change, and all of those things are very important.
And you travel a lot.
That's a killer. It's a killer. I mean, I can't change that. Unfortunately, that's a big part of my job, but I need to find a way around it.
Yeah.
Instead of reacting to it.
So how do you navigate that internal? Because I'm not even asking like discipline wise on a paper, right? Okay, do this, do that. Like internally, a thought comes in. You are so tired. You have to work out. You wake up. You have to work out. Otherwise, your muscles gonna become unshaped, right?
Atrophy. Yeah.
Atrophy. So how do you navigate that one thought instantly?
I'll give you an example. To get my son in the shower, it's literally like pulling his teeth, every one of them out. But once you get him in the shower, you can't get him out of there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So I'm like that.
That's like my husband too.
You know, it's like I've understood that if I can just push myself to get myself to the gym.
I see.
Then it's all good. Then all the energy comes back, all whatever needs to be, because the environment is there. But as soon as I see my bed and my comfy sofa and the TV, I just don't feel like doing it. So I literally being mindful that that is my weakness. I just go straight to the garage, into the car. I'm like, let's go.
But you're already disciplined. Like that's a habit of yours, right?
Yeah.
Like you're disciplined in your work, in your music, and travel. Like, so this probably, do you think it's easy because you're already wired to be disciplined that way?
It's definitely like waking up at 4 when I was younger to do music. It disciplined me. Even though I was tired, I would just wake up. And now, even if I've slept even an hour, I wake up at 4. It's just, I'm wired that way. So it's easier. But is it good for your body to be that tired?
Yeah.
You know, obviously not.
So you have to plan your day then, right? Take a nap later on, or because
I do take cat naps for sure.
Yeah.
I probably snore so the entire world can hear it, but I do take my cat naps with my little doggy on the side who also snores. So those are important. And I think when I'm traveling, laying down, you know, really helps. And 27 hours of nothing to do, listen to music and sleep.
Yeah.
So I do catch up on my sleep in my travel.
That's nice. Yeah. And does it impact the way you think when you haven't slept properly? Because
which I have no idea.
You don't know.
I don't know. When I'm tired, I know I don't function properly.
Right.
But worse than that is if I'm hungry.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm hangry. I'm like, so I think a combination of both things is detrimental.
And I think I heard you say you eat 6 times before,
I try
right?
to eat 6 times, except for Saturdays because I'm teaching literally 6-7 hours.
That's what I was thinking. You're there throughout morning.
But in the morning I eat a lot before I come.
And then you're planning your workout and then eating. And
so I
then
go
all
home,
that.
I eat, wait 45 minutes, go to the gym, eat again, and then go out or whatever's going on. Then eat again, and then.
How do you, if everything is discipline, this is my personal question now. I'm thinking, how do you let your brain free? Like, how do you unwind? Do you have time to unwind?
I don't. And this is a good example of why I didn't understand who I was. Because I was so wired all the time. It was like, go, 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 go. Like, just never had any time to think.
Right.
And I think COVID was a blessing to many people, not just me, where people started to understand who they are and what they need in life and etc. Unwinding, I don't know, like certain vacations. I love the beach. I love the beach where I can just sit by the ocean and don't bother me, don't talk to me, go away, give me a cocktail. That's what I want. And I just want to hear the ocean.
Yeah.
You know, so at that time, I think in those instances, I do unwind. Also, spending time with like friends and families, it really takes my mind off everything. I don't think about work at all. I don't think about music at all.
That's good to hear.
Which is definitely a change after COVID, because before it was always like, oh, I got to do this with work and I got to do this with music. So I think I've found my ways.
You naturally had to figure it out. Now let's go to work.
Yes.
You're a chief revenue officer?
Chief revenue officer. So basically,
Pro.
It's, you know, I obviously reported the CEO, and we are in a business which is very, very popular right now. We're in the business of anti-drones.
Anti-drones, okay.
So like in Ukraine, the war is being fought by drones, not people. Okay, so the Russians, with the help of Iranians, have specific drones that they're using, causing a lot of damage, deaths, etc. And the Ukrainians are doing the same thing. So we have a technology to basically detect the drones from a far distance, that it's coming your way, track the drones, where are they coming, what kind of path they're taking, you know, where the pilot is and all of that. And this is all passive without them knowing. And then mitigating, meaning if we have to jam it or we have to destroy it with a missile or whatever, we can provide that technology.
Is that government of US or independent?
Worldwide.
Because I mean, now today's world, we have so many wars going on, and drones are so, I'm assuming, extensively used.
They're becoming more of a threat in every country.
Right, yeah.
Because believe it or not, these drones cost $500.
Wow. We had this thing, right? Farmers protest in India. They used, I think government of India used drones against that protest.
To survey, yes.
Survey and, I don't know other things. But the camera.
So drones can be used for good purposes and bad purposes. Unfortunately, the bad purposes are only 5%. But the amount of damage that 5% costs is billions of dollars. So governments can't afford. The Israel war started off with drones. You know, cheap drones were sent over, did the surveillance of where everything is, and then, you know, the whole thing started. Same thing with the Aramco bombing of the oil refinery that happened a few years ago. And right now, even we are protected because we have two oceans on each side. But all countries, even India, there's a lot of spy drones that keep coming. And
from
the north and from the west. That, you know, everyone has to be careful of, and it's becoming more of a problem. It's the industry, you know, used to be a few $1 billion. Now they're estimating a few $100 billion in the next 5 years. So it is a ever growing business, very high in demand. We are dealing with all the ministries around the world, secret agencies.
So
it's a fun job.
Do you get to meet spies and?
Well, I'm not at liberty to say of any of that, but it is definitely a fun job. Very secretive in many areas. But, you know, we're not hiding what we do.
Right.
You know, everybody knows what White Fox does and what we're about. And
what is the name? Why do they have name White Fox?
That's a question for the CEO, but I know his last name is Fox.
Okay, I see.
So I don't know why he chose White Fox, because if you look at our symbol, it looks like a fox.
Okay.
And it's white. So maybe I don't know why he chose the word White Fox and not Red Fox or Black Fox or whatever. But all our equipment that we manufacture also has the word Fox in it, like Drone Fox.
So is that also, you're also into manufacturing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do hardware and software.
Oh, okay. And you're in US, right?
We are a US-based company.
Okay,
yes.
and but international. That's why you have to travel a lot, which
we're dealing with
sense.
high-level people,
yeah.
you know, that
yeah.
usually won't talk to you on the email or on the Zoom.
Yeah, that's why you have to travel. Yeah. So that kind of, that's again another disciplined work.
Yes.
It's not something to take lightly at all. It's a lot of intelligence, security, lives matter. So it's extremely serious.
Yeah.
You have to be focused. You have to be. So do you, coming back to you now, psychologically, do you assign, I'm curious now, how do you allocate your brain to doing all these different things, moving in so many
8
directions?
to 5, I only think of work.
Yeah.
I don't think of anything else. I will think of the duties that I have to do towards music or anything else, but those are usually an email away or a text away or something like that. But in terms of actually putting the time into either my own music or anything, will never happen between 8 and 5. Come 4:30, let's be honest, I shut my work. I'm still answering emails or taking international calls at night, late night. But in terms of my brain, it shifts. And it shifts to either music or the gym or Millen or whatever, Adam and whoever is in the picture. So I think I've compartmentalized, I can never say that word, times. So when I wake up, it's music, work, then everything else afterwards, and then go again.
Nice. Yeah, there's a discipline. There's a common thread I'm seeing from everywhere. Yeah. Common thread is discipline in everything.
It's not like anything and everything goes. I can't work
Cannot. That way. Yeah. I think it brings less confusion to the brain. Psychologically. You're clear what you're doing, and so you don't second guess yourself what to do. It's navigating.
But I think I've always multitasked, so it's not such a big deal for me. Where some people can only focus on one thing and that's it. Yeah. Okay, so it's just dependent on your personality. I've always multitasked.
Yeah. So earlier we were talking about social media, for example. you have a huge following.
Yes, pro.
Yeah. And going back, I heard you say Adam and giving time to Adam. And so how is that shifted from your previous married life, having a kid to now? Is it the same?
I think it's because Adam is a very individualistic person, very career oriented. He doesn't get done with work, even though he goes to the office a few days a week, but it's mostly home. But he's in front of that computer with Zoom calls or whatever called MS calls from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening. So we're so busy in our lives that weekends we always make plans, to spend time with each other and with Millen and talk. I mean, he makes sure daily he talks to Millen. Whenever Millen's with us, how's everything going? Talk to me about everything. And Millen's very open about everything that's going on in his life. So, Tarna and I will talk, we should be doing this, but he'll tell something else to Adam. So instead of having two parents now, he has a third parent who is more of his friend. So it's working out really well. I mean, he's a great guy. He knows how to balance and make everyone happy. And I think we balance each other out in many cases.
That's nice to hear. Yeah. With all the past
upheavals.
Upheavals, yeah.
It took us time, but I think we're at a very good equilibrium right now. Yeah. And it's getting better, even better.
That's nice to hear. And I have met Adam as well, and it was nice to talk and have his perspective.
Oh, he has a lot to say about the
Yeah.
Indian community because he's very analytical, and it's not easy to fit in with Indians because we're very judgmental, and it's difficult to accept somebody from a non-Indian.
Even for him, right, to come to Indian community, it's like overwhelming. Must be. It's
Overwhelming because they're so judgmental.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
I mean, if it was just like, hey, just come on in. He's very analytical, right?
Yeah.
So he won't just take things for face value. So he has to analyze everything to death first, and then oh, this is my plan, and and he tries his best to fit, and people love him. Everybody that we deal with, they absolutely adore him.
Yeah. And how is your how have you felt with his family? And
They're great.
They're great.
They're great. They're very, he came out at age 8. So I didn't even know what I was. Yeah. So he's been out forever.
8 years
and
old.
Rural Indiana. So for his family from the Midwest to accept, it's a huge deal. It's a very, very, very seldomly accepted thing from there.
Wow.
So I give props to his mom and dad, and so I mean, he's had his journey of his ups and downs and dealing with a lot of things and
I
adversities.
should talk to him next.
Yeah, you should.
8 years old. That's like such clarity of mind, man.
And he's very black and white person.
Yeah.
It's like, no means no. Done.
It sounds like also like my husband is like that too. It's very kind of, he knows.
Yeah.
Very, very, very clear. I also have jealous towards them because, with Indian things, we are so much noise we grew up in. I think that brings in a lot of, I don't agree, it's a chaos, but we have to find our way through it, right? It's a different skill we have to learn. Yes. Versus for them, they can't handle that. It's hard for them to handle that.
He gets overwhelmed many times. He's like, I can't do everything. I can't do everything. I'm like, well, I'm doing this every day.
Yeah.
It's just a lot for me.
But I think you are at a spot now where you're understanding versus you're not having, you've gone through all the difficult parts. So now
I've learned to listen.
Listen, yeah.
I never used to listen. It was always me talking.
Yeah.
Now I just sit there and I listen and I ponder and I'm like, okay, he's going to say this. Okay, he's going to say this. So I already know what he's going to say. And I know why he says those things. Before it would be more like, why does he say those things? So I think a lot of changes occurred. A lot of change in my own personality has really occurred because I was able to accept everything.
Yeah. All the goods and the bads.
All the goods and the bads.
Yeah.
And that makes any relationship very strong because you'll go through this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. But at the end of the day, it's like, tomorrow will be a better day.
Yeah. And when you're going through that, it's one of you will be out of it. Like one of you will be in that situation and one of you may not be because of how we have evolved.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right. Let's see. Before we end, I want to ask you what type of legacy what type of legacy you want to live to our world. You have a lot going on. I can guess it could be in music, but I could be wrong. So I just want to know from your perspective, how would you, in another podcast I listen to, he always asks, what's your armchair moment?
I have talked about this to myself many times. I don't think there's one thing that is extremely important to me anymore. I could say, if you asked me that question before COVID, I would flat out say music. Flat out. I want to be the most well-known singer on earth. That was my goal. I don't think it's my goal anymore. I enjoy different aspects of life now. But one thing for sure, I want to be authentic. I want to be true to myself. I want to be true to all those that I deal with on a daily basis and have no regrets. I mean, those 4 things are super important to me now because I know when I, leave Earth, I want to look back and be like, you know what? It was good.
Yeah.
No regrets of, oh, well, if this wouldn't have happened, then this would have been like, none of that. I don't feel that we need to justify why we are where we are. We are here because we are here. And I want to live in the present. Yes, plan for the future, learn from the past, but I want to live in the moment. And I don't think I have done that for years. It's always been, I'm living for others. What will they think? What will they feel? Will they be happy? Will they be upset? You know, so I think that definitely has changed. In terms of legacy, I would hope that Phoenix Gharana continues for generations. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. That's okay. Because I did what I could. Now, if that higher power feels that it needs to stop after me, then it stops. But at least I have created students. And even if I can take one student and make them to that level, I've done my job. Right? So whether it continues or not is not, I'm not going to say important, but it doesn't hurt me anymore. You know, I'm not like dying that, oh, after me, it's just going to die. Yeah. It was meant to be. Yeah. So, you know, I feel like I'm at peace with everything.
I feel that.
I don't feel like I'm dying to do anything anymore. I'm just like, okay, it's good. I enjoy this. I enjoy this. I enjoy this. But I don't feel... I think my goal in life is for people to open their minds. I think that's my focus these days. It's like I want to talk to people and ask them why they feel this, or, you know, what is wrong with this? And, you know, those kind of questions which they may have never been asked. Whether it turns into a disagreement, so be it. But at least I need people to understand. If I can change a couple of people to not be open-minded, but to be open-minded enough to understand that, hey, this could be. Even if I can do that much, I think I'll be very happy.
And you're doing that.
I am doing that. I'm taking every step. I mean, I'm known as the rebel. Even in social media or in the music world, you know, they use this word, rebel, because I've been very outspoken about everything. Yeah. And this issue of LGBTQ is very important to me now, because I think it has run my life in the background for a very long time. It's just I didn't know. I didn't know why I was so unhappy and so angry and whatever. But, you know, if I had known, maybe things would have been different. So I want people to know that there's somebody out there that cares, that can be supportive. If you want to talk to me, send me a message. And I hope to actually start a support group here in the Valley, because I went to Pride last year and every community was there.
Were you in France? Or
no, here.
Here. Oh, here.
Yes.
Okay.
Here.
Wow.
We have a huge parade in downtown Phoenix for over 2 hours, and you barely saw any Desi people. There were every organization, religious affiliation that were walking except for the Indian community. And it is sad that we are one of the biggest communities, even in Phoenix. And there's just no voice. Yeah. There's no support. There's nothing. Yeah. And even if there are people who are going through this at ASU, I know a few people at ASU I see at gay lounges and in clubs and all of this. They're Indians, but they live such a fearful life. And this, oh, I hope nobody finds out or nobody talks about this. It's terrible.
I think this you opening up and bringing that out, because it's like a hidden bug inside, right?
Yeah.
Gray, nobody says it. So even acknowledging that people go through it, I think is very powerful. People will feel it.
I hope that, you know, if people are listening and understanding that, you know, this is a big thing. It's a very big thing. Number one, nobody wants to be in this. Nobody chose to be in this. It is just what it is. And how can we make life better for other people by giving them a nurturing and a loving environment should be of importance now, especially for our community.
Right. Pride Month coming up.
June, yes.
Happy Pride Month.
Thank you.
You have any plans this year?
I'll be traveling, so no.
Okay.
So Pride here in Phoenix actually takes place in October because of the heat.
I see. Yeah.
So every year I make sure that I attend and give my open support.
Nice.
And I think even using social media, I have started many people to just accept that it's okay.
Did you actually ever come out on social media or you did? Okay.
Instagram.
Okay.
Everybody knows.
Yeah,
Everybody knows. Facebook is a little bit different for me because there's a lot of old age mentality people on Facebook. And I don't think it's the right platform to vocalize something that, they might not even be accustomed to. Whereas Instagram is followed by younger, or open-minded people. And I think that is where I really make an impact. I have been in contact with many individuals in India as well as in the United States that, have showed the courage to just talk to me and say, I'd like it if it was private. I'm not sure how to do this. I don't want to come out yet. This is that. And I'm very open about that because even though in 2016 I kind of knew something was, it took me 3 years. 3 years. Think about that, So everyone just needs to take their time. I'm there to support them, and hopefully, if we can get a good group of people, we can start opening up this chapter that it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. That can be the name.
It's okay.
It's okay.
That's a great name.
It's a great name. I love it. It's okay. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Manu, for taking time and, helping coming on this. Because Soul in the Game I think you've really helped to make justice to the name that was what my goal was. So thank you. I really appreciate you taking time. I know how busy you are. You already expressed how busy you are. So I have more appreciation for taking time and sharing your experience.
Yep. We'll see you at the masterclass in the evening.
Thank you for being my teacher, reminding.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining for Soul in the Game podcast. And if you want to listen more other episodes, you can listen on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere. Just go type in Soul in the Game. And my name's Saumya Parthasarathi, your host. Thank you for listening again. Take care, and I'll see you in the next podcast.